All right, so we're looking at knowledge check 23.4.3. And what we're going to do here is actually implement a very basic random walk. So if you're familiar with random walk, it's basically, you take a step and you can take a step in one of two directions. Maybe you go left, you go right, and that is a random process of whether you go left or right. And we do that until we reach some final value, right? So what we want to do here is we want to fill in this code chunk so that we can perform a random walk where we start at a value of 0. And each step, we're either going to add or subtract 1. And you want to have your random walk stop if the value exceeds 100 or if the number of steps taken exceeds 10,000. All right, so how can we do this? Well, I'm going to illustrate with the repeat. You could actually do this with the while function if you wanted to. I'm going to do a repeat function. And I'm going to first initiate my value and my steps at 0. Now remember, we want to basically, let's just add some comments here. Stop when value is greater than 100, or stop when steps taken exceeds, 10,000. Okay, that is the whole goal here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the repeat. And the first thing I'm going to do is take a random step. So here I use sample. And this sample is, let me just go ahead and run this up here. Sample will take however many samples you specify. So here, this one, the last one in sample says I only want to sample one time, right? And I'm going to sample from this vector here, right? So I could say, let me just do this for illustration purposes. Sample from the values 1 through 10, and let's get 2 samples. All right, so I get 9 and 7. Maybe I want to get 3 samples, 10, 1, and 5. Maybe I want to get 6 samples, okay? So here I am sampling from the values -1 or 1, right? So basically I'm just saying I want to either take a positive 1 step or a negative 1 step. And I only want to sample one of these values. All right, so that's my random step. So now what I do is I take value and I'm going to take the previous value, which when I start this is at 0. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my random step. Okay, so the next thing is I want to go ahead and increment my step. So I've taken 1 step now, right? It doesn't matter if it's a positive or negative direction step, I've just taken a step. So I want to count up my steps. So I've iterated my value based off of my random sample here, and I've iterated my step value. So now what I want to do is I want to continue doing this until, recall, our value exceeds 100 or our steps taken exceeds 10,000. So I can say if value equals 100, right? Or actually up here, I wanted to stop when value equals 100. And I want to go ahead and if my steps taken exceeds 10,000. All right, and what I can actually do, I can go ahead, I can print value and print my step so I can kind of see what that is at. Okay, so what we're doing here, we're incrementing our value and our step, and then here's where we say, well, if the value equals 100 or step exceeds 10,000, I want to go ahead and break. And I add this print statement just so that we can kind of see what the final value is. Let's go ahead and run this. All right, and we see that the value is -71. And so we took 10,000 steps and at that point, our value was negative 71. So we never reached that value of 100. We basically reached the number of steps that we wanted to limit ourselves to. I could rerun this, see what happens next time. All right, so this time I got to the value 100, and that took 3,584 steps. And I could run this again. That time we never got to the value 100. Instead, we got to steps taken exceeds 10,000. And continue doing that.